The organization known as Adopt a Native Elder is one of the longest-lasting Navajo Nation nonprofits in existence and aims to support elders on the Navajo reservation. ABC4's MJ Jukes is live in studio with more. MJ?
That's right, Jordan. Today's event came at a crucial time for many members of the Navajo Nation. During President Trump's first few days in office, he signed a number of executive orders that have led to increased immigration enforcement for groups with non-traditional documentation status. Among the increased enforcement, several Navajo Nation face uncertainty and fear.
Since colonization, Navajo Nation's people, culture, and language has survived for centuries, with many Navajos resisting assimilation, one of the few native groups to do so.
We have to take care of the earth, our mother. We can't abuse her. We can't hurt her or destroy her or her children.
Earlier this week, the 25th Navajo Nation Council announced it had seen an increase in reports from citizens and officials of ICE agents detaining and questioning members of the Navajo Nation.
So this new policy is very, very shocking and very sad to hear that our people are being bullied, played with, and asked to show evidence of their right to be in here when all of this was Indian country.
According to Senator Teresa Hatathley, a Navajo Congress member out of Arizona's 4th District, several Navajos have been detained despite having certificates of Indian blood, or CBIs. Close to home, Adopt a Native Elder aims to alleviate some of the suffering endured by Navajos across the nation.
A lot of foundations help us now to make sure we ensure that they can live out their lives in their traditional ways.
Now, Jordan, it's important to note that we did reach out to ICE for a statement, but have yet to hear back. And as this is an ongoing matter, we'll definitely be covering it as it goes forward. Absolutely. Now, this was a fundraiser today for this organization. What's next? What do they do with the funds? So the funds will go towards bringing donations, everything from firewood to food and medical supplies. Now, they'll be taking them in about 7 semi-trucks down in early April. Down to Navajo Nation. And anyone who would like to support or help can visit anelder.org. All right.
Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. The video that I showed you came out about 2 days ago, where there's been reports, okay, about ICE agents going and supposedly causing trouble on Native American reservations, where the mainstream media, okay, and some social media outlets, or I should say social media content creators, are starting to put out this narrative that Donald Trump's immigration policy of what he's doing is now affecting Native Americans, where supposedly they are being rounded up and they're being threatened to be deported. Just by me saying that right there, okay, should pretty much catch everybody's attention, because if anybody knows, it does not matter who is in the White House. It doesn't matter where you live in America. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Everyone knows that Native Americans cannot be deported. Okay? But leave it up to the mainstream media, leave it up to social media shills to start putting out reports of an incident that happened, and then start adding lies to it, okay, just to get people riled up. But the one thing they don't do, as usual, okay, is give the full story, or at least try to dig a little bit and put some common sense, okay, behind what's going on. Which doesn't surprise me, okay? People on the left are not the brightest, people around. All they know how to do is stir the pot, poke the bear, okay? Rattle the hornet's nest, whatever it is. Anything to get attention and get more division going and just put a spin on things and turn everything on its ear just to fit their narrative, which they're not understanding. Like I've said it before, and I say it again, I'll say it again, I'll say it until I see otherwise. The Democrats, they contradict themselves. Okay, plain and simple. And the reason why I want to put this video out is because I came across it last night. I didn't have my computer. I don't know if anybody seen my last video where I pinned a comment saying that I have to take my computer in for repairs, which it's working fine, but there's still some glitches. So at some point I'm going to have to upgrade. It's not easy trying to do this, but when I seen this story on one particular video that I seen last night, I had to say something because I am Native American. Okay, my family, my great-grandmother, my family, I mean, this is our land. And when it comes to the Democrat politics and all these Democrat shows and these leftist shows that want to go and just start putting out propaganda and only putting out half the story, you know, I feel as a Native American and Latino American, born and raised in this country, my mother and my father born and raised in this country, my grandparents born and raised in this country, it's like, you know, you need to stop using people to further your agenda when it's not true. If you're going to say something, if you're going to use somebody, then damn it, put the truth behind it also. And maybe, just maybe, people will start listening to you and believing you instead of spreading propaganda that's going to instill more hate and division amongst people. Okay? And I say that, and I tell you why as the video goes on. Because right away, the left has nothing else, okay, in their arsenal to go after Trump. But now they're going to start using some propaganda like this and make it something that it's not. But we're going to get to that. Because if anybody knows me, when it comes to like me wanting to put out content, I'm just not going to regurgitate the same old stories that everybody else is putting on, hoping that I get 100,000 views. In fact, I'm lucky if I get 200 views a video. But I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the difference between my videos, and no offense towards other content creators, okay, getting tons of views. It's just that if I'm going to react on a story, I'm going to dig a little deeper, okay? I'm going to go way outside the box and try to find out what's going on behind this, because it just doesn't smell right. And lo and behold, I came across some information that nobody's talking about. They're putting out the stories now, and you're going to see more of it, of these ICE agents supposedly going after these Native Americans. But they're not putting out the whole story, and that's because a lot of people just want the quick story. They want to run on it. They want to say, you know what, this is why the Republicans are bad. This is why Trump is evil. But here's the thing, and I always say it, when it comes to technology, it never really gets erased. Okay? If people would just think a little bit and have a little bit of common sense and say, you know what, there's got to be something else behind these so-called ICE raids against Native Americans. And the reason why I say that, because the next video I'm going to show you is by a content creator, and it's all fair game on the internet, of how he is putting a spin on this just to get his leftist agenda going and be another show like another Harry Sisson, another Cenk Uygur, or whatever the hell the case is. But as a Native American, I can speak on this and tell this content creator, okay, to piss off, because you're not doing us any favors. You're only giving half the story. But you want the clicks. You want people to stick with the leftist agenda. You want people to think that Trump is bad, that his supporters are bad. And you pick and choose how you put this story together. So, before I get to the next clip, people, I just want to thank all my new subscribers and all my subscribers here on YouTube and on Rumble. So don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around. And if you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. Also, I put the same videos. I've been putting them on Truth Social and on X. If you're on those platforms, check it out. Or check it out here. Check it out on Rumble. Wherever. Okay, whatever suits you. So, with all that being said, I'm going to play this quick clip so you can just get a little more understanding of what you just heard from the first clip, and then we're going to go into further detail about what's going on. And stay with me, people, because if anybody knows my content, you know how I do things. Okay? And we're going to get to the bottom of this. And we're going to get to the bottom of this in a way and wonder, why is it that this story is making headlines? What exactly is going on that the left is not telling us? Here we go.
The Navajo Nation also pushing back tonight against the administration's immigration roundups. The tribe says at least 15 people here in Arizona and New Mexico got questioned in their home or at work, asked to show proof of citizenship. They say they have reached out to Homeland Security and state leaders to get to the bottom of this. The people on the reservation are in fear as many struggle to keep up with their documents. It's unclear if anyone was actually apprehended on tribal land.
With each of our tribes, with the Navajo Nation, for example, we do have a certificate of Indian blood, meaning that we do have identification, knowing that we are members of the Navajo Nation. And right now, it's very uncertain if that is being verified.
They say at least one person was wrongfully detained and released in a raid in Phoenix, some others in Scottsdale. The tribe warning their people to be prepared and to stay vigilant.
Okay, so you heard that. Okay, supposedly one person got detained and then obviously released. But the way the mainstream media is starting to put this out, and you're going to see more and more of it, because they're going to try to pull on the heartstrings of everybody that's Native American, anybody that cares about the Native Americans. They're going to try to use, I'm telling you people right now, they are going to try to use the Native Americans against Donald Trump and against the Republicans. But don't be fooled. Okay? Don't be fooled. Let's get to the next video clip so that you can see what I'm talking about how these shills are starting to spin this around. Here we go. Now this video was put out by Status Quo News. Okay? In my opinion, they're a leftist shill organization, but the reason why I'm using them is because this is the video that I came across last night. Then when I looked at it, I already knew off the bat that the guy that was putting this content out was basically full of shit. Because if anybody remembers my content months ago, I did a certain video, which I'm not going to talk about right now, as to not give away what's going on. And when I seen this, I was like basically yelling at my TV, telling you, just basically screaming at him, saying, you're wrong. You're putting out misinformation. Okay? It got me so damn heated. Listen to what this guy has to say. I'm going to point a few things out, and then we're going to get to what possibly could be the truth behind all this. Here we go.
Despite possessing certificates of Indian blood and state-issued IDs, several individuals have been detained or questioned by ICE who do not recognize these documents as valid proof of citizenship. The same people who stole these people's land and has basically deported them onto reservations are the ones telling them, yeah, no, your evidence of Indian blood, that's not proper documentation. And you want to tell me this is about going after criminals?
It's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio, Tumwa, Iowa. Please support the only independent...
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Let's speed it up a bit. Sorry, people.
With status quo. Hey, MAGA, remember Donald Trump? He said when he became president again, immediately he was going to lower prices at the grocery store. Immediately he was going to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. Immediately, manna was going to rain from the heavens. All of these great things to help your pocketbook were going to happen. Well, it's now way past day one. And actually what he's doing is sticking his ICE thugs to harass, round up, and it seems try and detain Native Americans who are more American than you and I.
Okay, now the video clip, the news clip I showed you before that said they only detained one person and they let him go. But you see the way he starts already with this? Let's continue.
For no other reason other than complete and utter bigotry.
Right.
That's what this is.
Right.
Let me tell you what's going on. Reports of Navajo people being detained in immigration sweeps sparks concern from tribal leaders. The Department of Justice, under Trump, argued in court that indigenous people don't have birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. So neither should children of non-citizens born in the U.S.
Right.
Think about that. They're arguing that Native Americans whose land we stole by raping, pillaging, kidnapping, and murdering.
Go ahead, keep talking.
They're not rightful American citizens. As U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement intensifies its effort to apprehend and deport undocumented immigrants throughout the country, we saw massive raids in Chicago, in particular over the weekend, concerns rising among indigenous communities residing in urban areas about reports of indigenous people being detained in the valley. Navajo tribal leaders have received alarming reports that their tribal members are being detained, heightening uncertainties over the implications of these actions have for their communities and the safety of their people. Quote, "We now know that Navajo people and enrolled members of other tribes are being detained in Phoenix and other cities by ICE," Navajo Nation Council Speaker Crystalline Curley said during a committee meeting on Thursday. "The reports that we have received indicate that we need to coordinate an operation or some type of response to help our enrolled tribal members here on Navajo Nation." But wait a minute, MAGA. I thought that this was about going after criminals. I thought this was about going after the people bringing in fentanyl. I thought this was about going after the people that murdered Laken Riley. I thought that this was about going after the bad ones.
Okay, I'm gonna stop real quick. You heard what he said, right? He thought this was about people going after criminals, going after people with the fentanyl, going after people that killed people like Laken Riley. There's one thing that he said there. I'll bring it up in a second. Let's continue.
As Trump said, they're not bringing their best. What does going after Native Americans have to do with keeping America safe? Absolutely nothing. And I don't give a shit if you want to subscribe. If you want to unsubscribe because I'm not going to feed you exactly what you want to hear, bye-bye. Go back to your safe, comfy right-wing chambers. This is bigotry, this is hatred, and this is literally what fascism is.
Okay.
Going after Native Americans, detaining them by ICE.
Okay.
Quote, "These raids have sparked significant fear, especially among tribal members in urban areas who face challenges with documentation," the Navajo Nation Council said in a press release. A verified number of the Navajo people who have been detained were not shared during the committee meeting. State Senator Teresa Hathalia joined the committee meeting virtually and shared her report and concerns in Navajo. Hathalia represents the Legislative District 6, which encompasses the Navajo Nation. Hathalia reported the council that she received a call about a case involving 8 Navajo citizens who were detained for hours with no cell phones or ability to contact their families or tribes. She did not share the individual's identity. Hathalia told council members that there is a need for emergency protocols because many tribal members already struggle with access to proper documentation, which can get worse under the ICE sweeps. Quote, "Despite possessing certificates of Indian blood," let me repeat that, "despite possessing certificates of Indian blood and state-issued IDs, several individuals have been detained or questioned by ICE who do not recognize these documents as valid proof of citizenship," the Navajo Nation Council states in a press release. Curley called for immediate assistance from Navajo Nation President Boo Nugren. So the same people who stole their land, the same people and government that made treaties with them and then threw those treaties in the garbage. By the way, Democrats, Republicans, both parties have screwed the Native Americans, oppressed them, exploited them, stolen from them.
Sure.
This is not just a Trump thing. Remember, Standing Rock happened under Obama.
He says it's not just a Trump
well,
thing.
let's let it play out. Had nothing to do with the fact that Warren Buffett, one of his biggest donors, was one of the biggest investors in Dakota Access Pipeline. I'm sure the corporate media never told you that. But the same people who stole these people's land and has basically deported them onto reservations are the ones telling them, yeah, no, your evidence of Indian blood, that's not proper documentation. And you want to tell me this is about going after criminals? This is about you either have a border or you don't. You either have a country or you don't. This has nothing to do with border security. This has nothing to do with safety. This has nothing to do with keeping American jobs for American citizens. This is the nativist, racist, bigoted project that is behind MAGA. Not all MAGA. I've met plenty of people that support Trump. They're not outright racist, but they turn a blind eye to this.
Right. You heard what he said. They turn a blind eye to this. Keep that in mind.
Including my parents, who I love, but if you're watching, this is what you're voting for? It's fine. If you didn't want to vote for Kamala Harris, don't vote for Kamala Harris, but you're voting for this to harass, detain, terrorize Native Americans? It's just absolutely absurd. Curley called for immediate assistance from Navajo Nation President Bu Migrant. Quote, our people are reaching out to us directly and their needs are urgent. We must act swiftly to ensure their safety and well-being. She said that the Navajo people depend on the tribe for solutions and that Migrant's response to the issue has been insufficient. Migrant told the Arizona Mirror that his office has heard the concerns coming into his office and circulating on social media about indigenous people in urban areas potentially being detained by ICE. However, he said that his office has not been able to verify or successfully reach a Navajo person who has been detained. Quote, I am glad that none of our citizens has been detained for any of this, he said, adding that his administration is currently working to gather information. Well, then you're not paying attention because it's all over social media. And I've seen Native Americans posting that they know of people that have been detained.
Okay, you heard what he just said, right? The tribal council leader just said, okay, let me go back just a little bit. All right, because the one thing I don't want to do is mess up his words. Okay. Migrant said his team has contacted the governors of Arizona and New Mexico, as well as all state and federal public safety officials organizing ICE and other departments. I'm sorry, that was my bad. Let me go back a little bit. Told the Arizona Mirror that his office has heard the concerns coming into his office and circulating on social media about indigenous people in urban areas potentially being detained by ICE. However, he said that his office has not been able to verify or successfully reach a Navajo person who has been detained. Now, he read another sentence, and then he comes out and says, yeah, whatever, you just don't know what's going on. I'm getting information by other people putting stuff on social media. How many times have people on the left put stuff on social media to try to make Donald Trump and people on the right look like racist? Anybody forget Jussie Smollett? Remember that? Saying that they put a noose around his neck and all that? Remember that whole fiasco? But this man's going to come and start acting as if he truly cares about what's going on. Now, he may. I don't know. Me personally, I'm calling bullshit on it. Because if he really cared, okay, he wouldn't have such a knee-jerk reaction and put out information without getting all the facts, which I'm about to bring everybody, to try to shed a little more light on this, to say, oh, maybe this is why this is going on. Maybe what you people are putting out is not entirely the whole truth. Okay? Because if there's one thing that I know as a Native American, Native Americans vote Democrat and Republican. Native Americans are just like everybody else on the planet. Some are either on your side or they're not. Some are good, some are bad. Some will lie, some will say the truth. We're no different. Okay, and it's no secret that a lot of the Native American population, okay, tend to vote Democrat. They're stuck on a leftist ideology. Doesn't bother me to say it. Okay? And then you have some that go right or go center. Hell, in case anybody didn't know, we even got gay people in the Native American culture. Who would have thought that, huh? Well, guess what? It's true. But that's all besides the point. All right? Now let's get to what the reason might be, which makes a lot more sense than what this guy's putting out, than what the media's putting out, and what they're about to start stirring up. And it's just another leftist tactic to put people down, to put Trump down, to put Trump voters down. Okay? But they want to say that, oh, you know what? We got problems and nobody's paying attention. Let's go back into the past just a little bit. I don't know, about 8, 9, 10 months ago, when a certain potato was in the White House. And let's see what was going on in the Native American reservations that might pertain to what's going on now. But see, the left won't tell you all this because it was happening on their watch. And I put a video out about this months ago. Okay, let's get to it. Here we go.
I'm joined now by Stacy Zinn, former DEA resident agent in charge in Montana. We so appreciate you taking the time to speak with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
How dire is the situation on the ground in Montana? What happens when the sun goes down there?
The problem that we have in Montana is that the pricing of drugs, they can make, the cartel can make lots of money up here. And so they are preying on these individuals on the reservation. They're taking full advantage of the lack of law enforcement, the lack of BIA officers or agents, and they're taking advantage of the fact that we don't have enough drug enforcement special agents with boots on the ground here in the state of Montana.
Has the Sinaloa...
Anybody getting the picture of this so far? Because there's a lot more. Trust me.
Montana.
Has the Sinaloa cartel found sort of a perfect situation when it comes to reservations? They've moved in. They know they are not likely to be touched by outside federal agencies. They blend into the population, according to this tribal leader, and they can sell pills of fentanyl for $120 compared to $5 in urban areas. How?
Remember what this guy said in the beginning of his video? He thought that Trump was going after the criminals, the drug dealers that are selling what? Fentanyl? You with me, people, so far? Okay.
How serious and out of control is the situation?
It's very serious, and the tribal councils have a legit beef. And what do I mean by that? It's not only Sinaloa cartel that's coming up, it's also CJNG, Nueva Generación cartel, is taking full advantage. And what they are doing is that they're setting up stash locations in surrounding states. And so what they'll do is they'll bring up large amount of drugs, stash them in one location, and then they'll transport them or have them transported to these reservations in the closeness of darkness in each reservations throughout the state of Montana. So we do have a serious problem here, and it's time that DC starts waking up and starts giving us the resources that are needed in order to help our reservations.
Yeah, 9 officers patrolling 652,000 acres just seems like a totally out of control, untenable situation. And that tribal leader we spoke with just a few weeks ago said that the cartel knows how to manipulate this system, that they will call in an emergency or an accident in one part of the reservation, and then all the resources will be drawn there, and then they will move in the drugs on the back end. He told us that speaking out absolutely is putting his life at risk. I want to listen to this part of the interview together.
My job as the our tribal leader from Fort Mount is to protect our people, and that's what I'm trying to do now. If it's at the risk of my own, then so be it.
Stacy, you have seen the situation firsthand on the ground. Do you have a message for Governor Noem tonight as she continues to say that somehow tribal leaders are benefiting from the cartels being in their backyard?
Here in the state of Montana, we have not actually seen that too much. I mean, there are some bad apples out there, just like in any society or community. But the fact is that the cartels, what they end up doing is actually teaming up with other community members, and they'll come in, like I said, in a cloak of darkness, befriend these individuals, and then they actually sell the drugs to these individuals and gets them more addicted. What we are actually seeing is that we need to start communicating more about the dangers of drugs also to the younger generation. We need to start talking about what fentanyl is, what meth is, what all these other drugs are, and we need to start planting those seeds at a younger age so that they'll start growing up and they can say no to drugs. So we have to actually attack this from all angles, and we're not doing that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective. I know you are running to represent Montana in Congress, and we certainly appreciate your time, your perspective. Stacey Zinn, thank you so much.
Okay, so you heard that. This news clip was put out 8 months ago under Biden's watch. I did a video months ago of how cartel members, gang members, people that are not even Native American, of how they're embedding themselves into the reservations by befriending people, number one. Number two, okay, getting with Native American women. Something that was brought out months ago by people in Capitol Hill, but that was all shot down. Why? Because like this chief that they showed, the elder, okay, he's speaking out. And then you have others from other reservations and tribes that are speaking against him. You have good and bad in all societies. Okay, if anybody knows, because there's no secret, and if you don't know, now you know. There is a big drug and alcohol problem on Indian reservations. That's why they are so strict with their laws. But leave it up to that shill on the Status Quo channel to make it seem like he cares. If he really cared, he would say, well, maybe, just maybe, the reason why ICE is going into the reservations is not to arrest and try to deport Native Americans. Is to find out, okay, who are they doing business with? Where are they getting the drugs from? Because everybody knows in Washington that this has been going on for nearly a year of information that they've been putting out. How long it's been going on before that is anybody's guess. So when this man comes out and says, and that woman comes out and says that they're out there rounding up Native Americans, detaining them and doing all this, you already heard it. It was one person and they released them. Maybe they're trying to get information. That is what law enforcement agencies do. Okay? You hang around a certain kind of people or crowd, they're going to go ask questions. Why should it be any different for them to go onto Native American reservations or even ask Native Americans and find out if they're telling the truth, and then to question their ID? Because if anybody knows, and I have been a victim of it because my identity was stolen by somebody from South America years ago, where they came to my house, put the handcuffs on me. Why? Because I fit the profile. Brown skin, black hair, brown eyes. Show me a Native American that doesn't look like that. Show me a Latino from South America that doesn't look like that, with tattoos. So when you have ICE agents looking at all this, looking at their ID, maybe some of them just don't know what a ICB card. We call it a blood card. Okay? Maybe they're plain ignorant. I don't know. Or maybe it's the fact that so many illegals are walking around with fake ID, so they need to question Native Americans just the same to make sure that they're not somebody from South America. Because in case all you bleeding heart liberals, if you would just look at a map, if you would, for all you liberals that like to go and venture off to other countries, did it ever occur to you that a lot of people from South America look like Native Americans and vice versa? Did that ever occur to you? No? It just never occurred to you? There may be somebody, I don't know, from El Salvador could come here and pass for a Navajo, a Cherokee? Just saying. But let's read an article real quick so you guys can see a little more of what's going on. Here we go. Okay, this article came out on the 25th of this month. It's called Lost Generations, the Overdose Crisis on the Alamo Navajo Reservation. Okay? Pay attention, people. Because these are things that the left won't talk about. See, they like I said, they're trying to harp on everybody's feelings, making it seem like, oh, what Trump is doing is wrong. Now they're trying to detain and deport Native Americans, and that's not even the case. That's not even the case why ICE is going to the reservations now. Okay? It says the Alamo Navajo Reservation in southern New Mexico mourns the tragic death of 28-year-old Ambrose Begay, a testament to the escalating drug crisis afflicting Native American communities. While national overdose deaths are declining, the Alamo Navajo faces a grim reality with overdose death rate soaring to over 6 times the national average. And where did ICE go to start knocking on doors? Yeah, you're right. Asking the Navajos. But here's the thing. That was in Phoenix. Okay? If anybody understands the way the border works, there are a lot of illegals coming through the border in Phoenix, and they're embedding themselves into Native American reservations. They're trying to get, like I said, trying to get with the women, trying to get into the community so they can do all their drug trafficking through them. But that's something, again, like I said, that the left won't talk about, and that jackass on status quo cannot put 2 and 2 together and say, you know what, maybe this is why ICE is going and asking people on the reservations and detaining them. But no, he'd rather use the Navajos and the Native Americans like he cares, just to further an agenda of hate towards Trump, making it seem like Trump and his people are a bunch of racists. You heard his words, not mine. You heard his video. Go back on this video. You'll hear what he said. Okay? Won't say that this has nothing to do with race, racism, no. In his eyes, it has everything to do with racism. But he doesn't give a flying rat's ass about the drugs, okay, and how illegal immigrants are bringing and embedding themselves into the reservations. Let's continue. Manuel Guerrero, Begay's grandfather, and a prominent community figure, reflects on the devastation plaguing his community. Murals and makeshift shrines commemorate those lost to overdoses. Yet resources like nearby detox centers remain lacking, intensifying the community's struggles to provide essential services in the face of poverty and infrastructure deficit. The pressing concern extends to the border challenges of law enforcement and tribal governance. Like I said before, you'll have people that are speaking out about this, and others that are saying, no, that's not happening. It makes you wonder why some are saying yes and others are saying no. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that one out. What do you think? Because I'm Native American, I have to ignore the ugliness? No, I'm an American. There's ugliness on all sides. There's good and ugly on all sides. Doesn't matter what race, what religion, what sexual orientation. There's good and bad on all sides. Let's continue. I'll start again. The pressing concerns extends to the border challenges of law enforcement and tribal governance. With no local police force, drug trafficking remains rampant, as witnessed by residents. Maybe that's why ICE is going and asking Navajo residents questions. Leaders like Michelle Beta, I think it is, and Sisu Abeta strive for solutions, advocating for rehabilitation facilities and increased law enforcement presence to curb this lethal epidemic. Why? Because they know that a lot of illegals are coming across the border in Arizona. They're getting into the reservations, but now it's spreading and it's hitting Montana. Wherever there's reservations, that's where they're going. Why? Because the reservations are not policed, okay, the way cities are policed. You heard what the lady said. 250,000 acres are policed by 9 people. As a matter of fact, let's put it this way. How many times in California have they busted marijuana fields? Think about that. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. How many times have they gone into Washington State, California, and they've busted all these fields in the woods, in the wilderness? I mean, acres upon acres of like people growing marijuana, drug cartels, drug dealers. And the same thing is happening, but in a different way on the reservations. They're bringing fentanyl and pills and drugs. They know that people in the reservations, a lot of them are addicted to drugs and alcohol, which is a big problem on Indian reservations with Native Americans. What better way to get rid of your product? Give it to them, keep them high, let them do the dirty work for you. That's why, maybe, I don't know, who knows, that ICE is going to the Native American reservations and asking questions and detaining people? Because 8 months ago, 11 months ago, the Biden administration knew about this, did nothing about it. And now Trump got wind of it and says, you know what? We're going to all the places we said we were going to go to. All the blue cities, all the blue states. And we're also going to hit the places that nobody really talks about. The Native American reservations. But no. Leave it now up to the leftists on the reservations to side with the left, saying that what's going on is racist. Leave it up to leftist shills on social media, like that jagoff on freaking Status Quo, to start saying that everything that's happening is because it's racist. Did it ever occur to you that if you did just a little bit of damn research and you were just a little more freaking, I don't know, truthful to people, maybe the people on the reservations wouldn't have these problems? If you would just call out the elephant in the room and say that the problem is the drugs, the trafficking of drugs, the way illegal migrants are embedding themselves and cartel members and drug dealers into the Native American reservations and their communities. Maybe that would help them a little bit. But no. You got to go and insult people like me, my people, making it seem like we're being attacked by Trump and ICE because they're racist. And that's why you Democrats lost the presidency, the House, and the Senate. And you're still losing. Because you can't just say the truth. You have to keep lying and taking something and spinning it around just to make people hate us on the right. It's disgusting. You leftists don't give a flying rat's ass who lives, who dies, as long as you could keep pushing your propaganda. And now you're using the Native Americans to get, what, your clicks? To get your story out? To divide people more? Is that what it is? Of course it is. Because that's all you people do. You know, Trump was right. Everything you leftists touch turns to shit. That goes with a story that should be talked about because we have the same problems in the inner cities all around the United States. We have a big drug epidemic. You don't care about the drug addicts and the drug dealers in Chicago, Colorado. You don't care about none of that. New York, you don't care about none of that. And now you're using the Native Americans to push the same agenda. And it's the same story, the same spin on it. That the right is doing all this because they're racist. Not because they care. You're saying we don't care, but at the same time, you won't say why or maybe why, what might be the reason why ICE is going and detaining Native Americans and is not by mass. Okay? Because you heard the news, they said they only detained one. And on top of that, which if you go back, he didn't want to finish reading, was the fact that one of the tribal elders said he's been trying to do an inquiry and nobody's stepping forward. But he'll come out and say that that tribal elder doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Okay, I see. You know better. The liberal white guy knows better than the tribal leader of what's going on in the reservation. Right. Uh-huh. I see how this goes. Liberalism at work. Never let a crisis go to waste. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Spin it around. They'll eat it up. Somebody will eat it up. Not today, brother. Not today. So remember, people, stay vigilant. Keep praying. Keep praying for each other. Keep praying for the women and the children. Pray for this country. Pray for your enemies. And pray for Donald Trump. Peace.